If it's one thing that causes the most outrage in current day, it's the feminine physique. Who would have known that the woman's body itself would be politically incorrect? And not even a nude body, because if you're obese looking like a stripper at a basketball game,
ew,
you're celebrated as woman empowerment, and any criticism is labeled as body shaming. But if you're girl next door hot with two beautiful assets, heavies on display doing a jeans ad, it's Nazi propaganda. Side note, never capitulate to the mob, sweetie. You'll only dig yourself a hole in doing so. But I use this as an example to show it's the healthy, attractive, objectively desired body that gets people upset with the boogeyman male gaze is attracted to. So much that One Punch Man will have blood, violence, people getting punched in the crotch, and a naked man transforming, mocking Sailor Moon. But a girl in booty shorts is where the line is drawn because that's just too much for the eyes to see. But let's get to the anime part later. Because when it comes to Western entertainment, it's pitiful and hilarious to see how far people will go to defend ugly. Like saying this Mystique in the new Wolverine game is acceptable while gaslighting you like this wasn't intentional to make her ugly, saying things like, what does it matter that she looks like this? How does this affect gameplay? Well, if it doesn't matter, why make her intentionally unattractive in the first place? Same thing with Rogue, who's known to be a femme fatale, using her looks and seductiveness to get her way, known for her curvy figure.
Nice ass.
But was too much for the reboot, giving her a massive downgrade because the cake was too much that had people demanding, bring the booty back.
We want it now!
All types of video game woman characters intentionally made to look like fours at best, barely scratching the average mark. And if you dare suggest or mod them to look prettier, curvier, desirable, you'll get a slew of death threats sent your way, like with this Ghost of Yote upgrade with the heavies on full display.
Hell yes.
Like when I see this, I laugh thinking this guy must be cool as shit, whoever put this together, someone I could share a glass of whiskey with. But for others, they just throw a fit temper tantrum like it's World War III. And no matter how many examples you bring their way, they'll gaslight you still into thinking there isn't any agenda to uglify women and suppress feminine beauty. Even when this dev himself spoke out, who faced backlash from his own peers for doing so. I'm not talking about mild changes, I'm talking about pose, aura, style, softness, age, flair. I hate giving Gamergate men fuel, but it's very difficult to pitch beautiful or vain black women in games without them coming back like grocery store aunties. There is room for both. There's been a handful of times I pitched black woman characters that look like this, then after 10 iterations, the concept or model comes back without a speck of the original beauty I pitched. And it's a shame that this is a Western problem exclusively. Eastern creators actually know what gamers want. It's like attractive characters is 101, a basic that there shouldn't be any time wasted to argue not to make them look desirable. Beauty and attractiveness are timeless, which is why this was one of the worst takes in gaming history.
Do you think the character model was actually like very distracting in not a good way? Because like with the camera angles chosen, it just felt like this game seems like a game that came out in like 002 in terms of its, like character design. It's like a bit old and not flattering, I don't think, for a modern audience. In comparison to something like Forspoken.
Stellar Blade becoming Sony's most successful PC launch, and the opposite with Forspoken. People want attractive characters at least, while everything else stems from there. And it seems that the East is delivering on that. But if it's one thing, as I've stated in many videos, that activists hate, it's people having preferences, choices, and options to choose from, which by default now makes Eastern creators a target for the typical activist tactics, censorship, suppression, or just outright banning. Someone made a good point with this X post, that if you want to know why women in video games have to be fat and ugly, sharing a video of a great social experiment that explains this well. An attractive woman in a stewardess outfit stands alone while people walk by, and you'll see numerous women as they walk by giving her an ugly look. Like, how dare she be attractive in broad daylight, as a feminine beauty they despise itself and should have a real life censor black bar over her. With this response, I think really summing it up well. Men just cannot comprehend how vicious intrasexual female competition can be. Which is why you have feminists like Collective Shout demanding Eastern games with attractive anime girls be banned, saying things like they have impossibly large breasts, like real women aren't stacked like that in real life. Which anyone that's been to my live streams, how many times have we been through this? I mean, by this point we damn near have a segment celebrating the heavies on stream.
God damn, Sheila!
Which reminds me of that scene in Naruto where Sakura gets jealous of Hinata.
別に恥ずかしがって隠そうとしなくてもいいじゃない。なんか浮いてきちゃって。あなたがいつも羨ましいと思うわ。その膨らみだけは。
Which brings me to this X post. Kishimoto is one of the few mangakas who does not sexualize his female characters. And in the comments below, they go on to why he's the greatest because of this. But this is why you should never try to appease these types who are allergic to the feminine physique, ruled by political correctness as if fan service is somehow foreign to anime. It's because you'll dig yourself a hole in doing so, or be like a dog chasing its own tail, because baseline female attraction isn't allowed at all by activist standards, as made example in this article. Naruto fans stunned Kishimoto's perverse wardrobe choice for Hinata was secretly armor all along. The objectification of women in shonen isn't limited to Naruto. However, Kishimoto has to be one of the worst offenders of it. Which is why I advise creators never try to pander to these types. There will always be complaints to maneuver through like an obstacle course, versus people who don't get offended by fan service in anime but appreciate it along with a good story. And I think that's why it seems there's this coordinated effort to suppress or ban the anime aesthetic due to not having direct control in the creative process to make these characters butchered and ugly as they have to these Western female characters. Their solution is just outright ban it. Make it almost illegal or damn near impossible to produce attractive female characters, with the latest example being the game Brown Dust 2 being removed from Steam, full of very attractive anime girls, even with an ad that caused plenty of outrage in Tokyo, I think it was, with a busty 3D anime girl that if I happened to walk by would have caught my attention.
Hell yes.
And though it's not confirmed why this game was taken down, at this point it's kinda safe to assume why, with the public pushback collective shout received realizing how much in the minority they really were with their views being called out extensively. These types are probably operating in the shadows more than ever now. This along with another game, Lover Kiss, Endless Memories being removed, Corpse Party, Tetralogy being blocked by Nintendo of America. The anime aesthetic is clearly under attack. The last place where decent looking characters are standard, but what makes it even worse is when so-called fans cheer it on. Like this is a plus, all thumbs up for censorship. Like when it comes to Demon Slayer having Tengen's all 3 beautiful wives, heavies on deck being covered up for the Chinese version, celebrating the downgrade while disparaging Japan itself, saying, honestly good. The Japanese are just so over the top and weird with sexualizing women and little girl characters. Then you have this user reacting to this image of a vintage anime Devil Circuit, side note, that has an awesome classic fan service strip scene, as well as having a display of the classic now endangered species of a trope panty shot, and they said, why I don't watch much retro animes.
And I got news for you. That means you're gay.
And then this user responding to Tackle from Tojima Wants to Be Common Writer, displaying possibly the heaviest of heavies this season, saying, dude, you can't be serious.
Yup!
I recently said this on X. I've been trying to decide which is worse, an anime tourist or a longtime fan who's now converted into tourist-like behavior, being guilt-tripped into feeling ashamed for what they've been a fan of for all their lives, now trying to atone for the sin of being an anime fan, now condemning it with so many else. But regardless, it's frustrating to see people who force themselves to watch something that they don't naturally like, but due to FOMO must watch, then bitch and complain about it all too often. They will even gaslight themselves into believing their favorite anime doesn't have fan service because anime may go against their religious politically correct beliefs, like this user tried to do with Spy Family. Spy Family literally takes the prize because it doesn't need to resort to typical shonen tropes and sexualize any character to achieve its success. When her assassin outfit suggests anything but, it's a reason why she wears that on duty, adopting a dark persona, when wearing a dress that displays voluptuous cleavage, thigh highs, with a camera that conveniently captures a great shot of the heavies. Which is why her demeanor is completely different compared to when she's wearing a more conservative dress. Now I remember watching a scene from The Aviator, a biopic on Howard Hughes' life, when trying to get a movie approved by a board that featured a woman's cleavage slightly.
I have reviewed Mr. Hughes' photoplay entitled The Outlaw, that I've never seen anything quite so unacceptable. The girl's mammaries, which are quite large and prominent, are shockingly uncovered and should be denied the Motion Picture Association seal of approval.
Mr. Breen, Good to see you again. I haven't seen you all since that situation with all the violence in Scarface. Jean Harlow, Ann Sheridan, Irene Dunn, Claudette Colbert. All these shots, save for Miss Russell, were enlarged from pictures that received Mr. Breen's seal of approval. And as you've probably noticed by now, they all contained mammaries.
It made me think the feminine physique has always been a place of concern, whether it's the heavy religious right that condemns it as a vice or a temptation from the devil, or the politically correct left that hate it because it serves the male gaze, and since men are evil in their book, our interests must never be served. So the politically correct left is only for ugly women being highlighted in media because they know it's unattractive to the majority of men, which is where the intrasexual competition comes into play again, between women who don't like there being an ideal type being held up high that may make them feel less in comparison, which I think this scene from Sailor Moon captures well.
白雪姫の役はやっぱし胸が一番おっきな私がもらうよ。どこが？比べてみるかい?
Which is something I've seen firsthand. Women can be very vicious when it comes to tearing down other women they deem more attractive, which is what these feminists love to do to other women, but even more oddly to fictional female characters, which is where I think this onslaught attack on the anime aesthetic is coming from. And also men who act on their behalf trying to gain favor, who on the low know they prefer Eve from Stellar Blade than this abomination.
Ah! Oh, God! Oh, jeez! Oh, God! I'm sorry. I can't look at you. I mean, I can handle ugly, but this is like circus ugly.
But I'll end this video on a good note. I'm glad it's not only the West realizing this, but people in Japan and the East overall are waking up, seeing this creep into their own creative process in anime like a feminist did with Bocchi the Rock. Check out my video on that. But even with this notable Japanese user stating outright, overseas characters are becoming increasingly unattractive. This time I would like to explain this matter. This observation has been treated as a subject of ridicule or conspiracy theory for about 10 years, right on that. However, looking at recent trends in the gaming industry, it is no longer a laughing matter. It has become a well-known fact that is repeatedly discussed even in overseas game communities. DEI consulting firms like Sweet Baby Inc., combined with criticism of lookism on social media, has led to character expressions that intentionally strip away beauty and appeal, prioritizing ideological consistency, uglification, becoming entrenched, as has been pointed out. And I'll leave a link to this tweet in the description to read in full. But things like these need to be called out for the sake of creative freedom, keeping activists out of entertainment where they don't belong, acting as the fun police, destroying everything we love. Then maybe even Western entertainment can begin to heal as well through new and up-and-coming independent creators, because that's where I believe the true cure to all of this will come from. But that's all I have for this video. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. It's funny how guys don't have a problem with this. We don't care if male characters cater to the female gaze. If anything, it serves as motivation to hit the gym or whatever. But I think that social experiment video really captures something intrinsic, but I digress. Also, if you haven't checked out my music, links in the description. If you love those Samurai Champloo lo-fi mellow boom bap vibes, then my music is definitely for you. And if you want to support me and the content I create, consider joining my channel, becoming a member. Is much appreciated. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Free think. Peace.